Time now for a new segment with an old friend. It's Markowski in a minute with the Watchdog on Wall Street. Chris Markowski, good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
First up, our first Markowski in a minute gas prices. We've heard some experts saying $5 gallon gas coming to a pump near you soon. Is it going to happen? Why? And what can be done?
Go. What, as the American philosopher once said, it's deja vu all over again. We've been here.
Right.
Yogi Berra.
Right.
A lot of things. What Americans can do? Basically nothing at this point in time. The fact is, maybe you want to call your congressman, your senator, whatever it may be. We need more oil. We also have to get on these Wall Street firms. It's speculation that is driving these prices up. You lived in New York for a long period of time. You ever see any barrels of oil being delivered to any of these Wall Street banks who are buying and selling all the time?
Right.
I never have.
Right. Okay. So you're saying speculation over and above of OPEC, drilling concerns, that's the thing that's really driving these prices up.
Absolutely. Plus, people are using it. The economy's coming back a little bit, so there's greater demand.
All right. If you have a question for Chris, he's around all morning. Buzz at dailybuzznow.com. Markowski is here for Markowski in a Minute, a segment title which, contrary to popular opinion on the internet, was not suggested by Chris's wife. I want to point that out. All right, so...
Fight words, Andy.
So Facebook now, let's talk about it. $450 million poured into the company by Goldman Sachs. Now there's talk of a federal probe going on and possibly them having to go public with this stock earlier than they wanted. What is happening here, Chris?
Well, you want to invest in Facebook?
Yeah.
You got to open up an account at Goldman Sachs. It's going to cost you about $10 million.
Ouch.
Then you have to put $100,000 just to get into Facebook. This is a big end runaround. What they're going to eventually do is take it public and get all the insiders out and clean them out. Very similar to the whole .com fiasco that happened 10 years ago.
Okay, so what are regulators going to try to do to stop them?
They want everything out in the open. Because of the way they structured it, they're not in the open.
All right. Hey, if you got a question for Chris, send it to us. Buzz at dailybuzznow.com.
Hey, 5 minutes to the top of the hour. The big People's Choice Awards were last night, and of course, the beginning had some technical issues.
We've never had any of those on this show.
No idea. Queen Latifah was the host. Her mic kept cutting in and out. But of course, let's get to the winners, right? Shall we? Conan O'Brien won for favorite talk show host. Went to get it, but his mic had to be adjusted for the presenter, Mila Kunis.
It was set up for her. She's only 5'3", and of course, Conan's about a foot taller than that. So he had to crouch down to give his acceptance speech.
Okay, so let's take a look at our poll on our website where you could pick your favorites. Let's see how your winners matched up to the rest of the voters, okay? 34% of you picked Giant Double Rainbow.
For the viral video.
For the viral video. Grace and Chance, 27%. Single Ladies, Devastation, 25%. The Park Proposal, 9%. And Tarp Surfing, 5%.
Single Lady Devastation is actually a documentary on my high school dating.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's see. The actual winner, Single Ladies Devastation, right? Wheat Thin spokesperson went to family's house before ceremony and then gave the trophy to the Wheat Thins, and then, of course, they got a real trophy on stage. Okay, so, earlier we showed you, like, that mystery TV star.
Guess who it is?
Who is it?
She showed up with red hair. Let me give you a little hint before we unveil her. People thought it was Isla Fisher, that's the wife of Sacha Baron Cohen, until she stood up and was a whole lot bigger and taller than Isla, but kind of looks like her. It is Khloe Kardashian.
Isn't that something? Her red hair is trendy.
Still wouldn't have known who it was.
Awesome stuff. So we're going to be showing you some more results coming up throughout the show. And of course, Fan Friday is tomorrow.
Yes.
That's where you get a chance to run the show. Go to our website, dailybuzznow.com. You pick all the hot topics, the quotes of the day, the music we play for, and to talk about, can you be a little bit divorced financially? Because a lot of couples right now say they can't afford to separate, can't afford to divorce, so they're just staying together and just be a little bit divorced.
They're separated but married.
I took a look at the story. I mean, did it just really get you thinking when you were watching this, having children? I mean, it had me thinking.
The kids would be confused about what's going on because in one person featured in the article, the couple live in the same house, but they have separate entryways, separate keys. And it's just one of those
bank accounts and essentially live separate lives. And they said the only reason they decided to do this was because of the advice that they got from, who was it, one of their accountants, I believe, and said, look at it from a financial standpoint. You're better off to not get divorced and just have different accounts.
You are. I mean, I got wearing two different hats here. My financial planning hat on. I said, okay, do that. It's going to save yourself a fortune. But then I'm a father, too, and I understand as being a father, part of it is actually showing the love for your wife and that interaction between, which is teaching your kids how to be when they get older and how they're going to go about reacting to it. This is really interesting. And I think it's, you know, most sociology stories are, you know, kind of boring. They seem kind of stupid. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Do you, has someone come to you, one of your clients, and like, Chris, I got to leave her, but I can't really go?
I haven't had that problem. You know, thank God I haven't had that problem with my clients, and everything's been okay. But it's definitely something you think about because you get wiped out.
I actually know of a couple, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, the man, he's just not happy. They do have 2 children together. He makes a lot of money, and she doesn't work. So if he leaves her, she's going to take him for at least half of his earnings, and he's not ready to give that up. But at the same time, he's so unhappy in the marriage.
Take a look at what one couple's saying. Says, we were married 30 years before we decided to live separate lives. I was all for divorce, and so was he, but our accountant gave us 2 financial scenarios. Divorce, we would lose money by staying together. We got to keep more of our funds and our health insurance coverage as a married couple. Tax breaks for married people certainly beat those for singles as well. You know, we talk about January being the big divorce month.
Right.
I bet a lot of people will be looking at this going, wait a minute, I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to split.
Can't afford for the
30
lawyer
years of
fees
marriage
as well.
is different, though. I mean, kids are maybe gone at that point in time. I think when you have children in the equation, it kind of changes things. I think something like that, yeah, I can understand that. But that also goes down to the whole gay marriage situation with civil unions. And why aren't they allowed to be together for the same tax purposes and whatnot?
And
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, you got to think about all the money you got to put up front too to pay the lawyer fees.
Sure.
You know, it's not just the half of the money that you're going to give up at the end. Look at the money you got to put up at the beginning.
DailyBuzzNow.com is the place to go to let us know. Would you
aspirin while you're at it?
Time now for Markowski in a minute with the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Gas prices, my friend. Some experts saying $5 a gallon coming soon. Do you agree?
Don't you love when they spook everybody? $5 gasoline. I don't really think that's going to happen anytime soon. I really don't. You're going to see higher prices, no doubt, going forward because there's greater demand. What we need to be concerned ourselves with is the fact that this is going to make all our food prices go up and everything that we buy at the grocery store go up precipitously.
Do you agree with the executives who say, look, the government's not allowing us to drill in places like the Gulf and Alaska? You need to open up more domestic drilling. Do you agree or disagree?
The world is awash in oil. We've got more than enough oil out there. There's a lot of speculation that has come into the market. A lot of Wall Street firms are pouring money into this, and that puts about $26 a barrel increase. And everything that we pay is just to that. Not to mention the fact our taxes. They want to raise our taxes on oil.
Okay, so speculation and taxes, your opinion, those are the 2 biggest driving factors.
Absolutely.
All right, if you have a question for Chris, send it to buzz@dailybuzznow.com. In a minute with the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski, talking about this new Starbucks logo. People are freaking out that they changed the logo. What do you think?
Have you ever heard the expression, putting lipstick on a pig?
Yeah, yes, I have.
Okay, Starbucks could take their, and put the entire Victoria's Secret lineup on the side of the cups, and I'm still not going to drink it. I actually think that they make the coffee taste that bad, so you have to spend more money to put all that stuff in it to actually make it taste good. So I'm not buying into the whole Starbucks thing. They don't sponsor here, do they?
No. This is basically just free advertising, right? When they do stuff like this, they're just trying to drum up us talking about them, so they change the logo.
We should be getting we should get paid, Andy, for doing this right now.
Here's my idea for the Starbucks new logo. I think we have it. It's the expression you have whenever you see the price on your coffee. See how our face is, oh my God. It's like the Gap thing, right? I mean, they change the logo and people freak out.
Any type of publicity for these companies, as long as there's, there's no arsenic in the coffee or anything like that, even though it might taste like that, is good for them.
Send a question to Chris, buzz@dailybuzznow.com.
The aspirin while you're at it.
Time now for Markowski in a minute with the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Chris, talking about Facebook this morning, Goldman Sachs dumping $450 million at least reportedly into this company, which up to this point has not been publicly traded. What's going on here?
Hasn't been publicly traded. Well, Goldman Sachs, $450 million that they get at 0% from the Fed because they're a bank holding company. I just checked right before here and made a couple phone calls. They got to put a velvet rope up around Goldman Sachs, and put bouncers out there because people are clamoring to get into this thing.
Right.
All you need, people, is you need to open up an account at Goldman Sachs. It's about $10 million.
Oh, that's all.
And you got to put in at least $100,000.
That seems hardly fair that Goldman Sachs as a bank can borrow at 0 interest to then invest into companies.
Hey, welcome to Wall Street, my friend. That's how it worked. Bank holding company, now they can get whatever they want. But you'll probably be able to buy stock in it later on down the road where you'll be buying Goldman Sachs position or the people that got in today.
Ouch. Good insight from Chris Markowski. Questions? Send them buzz@dailybuzznow.
Bring in our watchdog on Wall Street to talk about couples who are a little bit divorced and what it means for them financially. Basically, what this means is a lot of couples, especially in hard economic times, says we can't afford to divorce. And some people have children. They say we've got to, stay together for the kids. But other people, especially couples who have been married 30 years, don't have kids in the house or didn't have kids at all, are like, we have to live together. Yeah. Sort of.
Financially, it just makes more sense for them to live under the same roof, and that's what some couples are doing. They've got separate keys, sometimes separate entrances, and they just live completely separate lives. But for the children or for their bank account, they live under the same roof.
What did W call it? Strategery?
You're talking about a nuclear disaster, right?
It's, the financial side of me, I understand it completely. I really do, because there's a lot of things that are involved.
It's sad, though, isn't it? If you're miserable.
When there's kids involved, though, that's where, part of teaching your kids is how you're going to treat your significant other, and they want to be in a household where there's obviously love between the two parents. Right. At least that's my opinion. 30 years out, I can understand it to some degree. You go here, I go there, no big deal.
So what do you recommend someone who's in this situation who needs to be a little bit divorced? What do you recommend they do to keep their own money safe?
Could you imagine the type of jealousies and the things that would happen and the stuff that transpired? Who's going on what date?
Well, why don't they just live apart? Why do you think they don't just live apart and just not get a divorce?
You could, I guess. I guess that's one way of handling it. That's obviously another financial burden as well, because you got to pay for two households.
But financially speaking, what would you recommend someone do if they had to live this way? Joint accounts?
No.
No? Separate?
Because that's going to cause more problems or more arguments, whatever it may be. You're going to have to separate. If you're going to live separate, you're going to live separate. It's your account, your car, whatever it may be.
So separate banking accounts, but you still have to chip in for the mortgage. Still have to chip in for the electric bill.
Share the utilities.
Back to the college roommate days. Basically, you're going to have to split everything. This is the electric bill, this is the phone bill, and that's how you do it.
Treat them like a roommate instead of a spouse.
There you go. That's what it means to be a little bit